redirects. So anytime you're pulling a page down from your site, you want to implement a permanent redirect on your page. This does three things. One, it tells the search engine to drop the past page that no longer exists from their index. Two, it indexes the new page. And three, it passes any link equity that was earned on the old page to the new page. There are some arguments that are made to have an error page or a custom error page, and that's debatable, and I would be happy to have that conversation. But as a rule of thumb, we want to make sure that that link equity passes through to the new page. Robots text file, you want to make sure that your site has one. This is the first thing the Search Engine Spider looks for. You place the file in your root directory, and it tells the engine what it can crawl, and also gives the opportunity to block certain directories if you don't want the engine to crawl certain content. This is a sample of robots text file. Again, and for a naming convention, it all needs to be in lowercase. So these are just some tactics and tips. There really is no end to the puzzle. There's no sort of one missing piece that solves the problem. Google alone had over 400 changes to their algorithm last year. It's continually changing, so you should be continually adapting. At the end of the day, they're the only ones that sort of know the secret sauce. And a lot of it, they disclose are really best practices, but they don't give you the keys to the kingdom. So that takes me to really the scorecard, and one of the earlier questions. How do you measure? What do you look at? Not, data beyond search, but just digital advertising in general gives you great insight into a tremendous wealth of data that typical other mediums just don't give you. But not everything that's out there is really important to measure. These are some things that are important to measure. And if you can, you want to benchmark where you are before you start to make changes. If you haven't started a paid search campaign or you're looking to really overhaul it, benchmark where you are right now. Where's the traffic coming from? Break that down granularly. What does the traffic look like from different engines? What are you seeing from paid versus organic? What do the conversions look like? And what are the top conversion driving keywords? I think that's often more important than top traffic driving keywords. Two very different things. You want volume, but quality will trump all. And if you have a keyword phrase that's really hard to rank for, that would give you tremendous volume, maybe you're better suited to pick a handful of phrases that have lower volume, but are more important to your business that you could rank higher for in a shorter period of time. And I already touched on keyword rankings and how I'd just be very leery of putting all of my weight in a ranking report. So you have your benchmarks. Now you want to measure, optimize, and refine. So you want to look at traffic and conversions for both organic as well as paid. You want to measure the engagement. These are just a couple of the engagement metrics: average page views per visitor, average time on site. I will caution this though, you want to take those two with a grain of salt and look at them not in isolation, but in the context of other metrics. You could have somebody on your site, you could have a site that has a really long time spent on site and really high page views, not because the content's great, but because you have a really poorly laid out site. People can't find what they're looking for, and it's very frustrating. Bounce rate, I think that's always a great one. That's a key. If you don't get what you want, if the visitor doesn't get what they want and they immediately leave, that's pretty telling that this page didn't have what I was looking for. That's one that I'd always look at. And one of the bigger ones is new visitors. That's ultimately what we're looking for as marketers. We want customers, but we want to get new visitors and qualified visitors to the site. So start to look at your new versus repeat visitors. SEM, again, you're measuring conversions. When possible, if you can plug in revenue or return on ad spend, those are great things. Things that are working, you want to lessen bid rules or lessen your business rules to get more of that, extract more of what's working well, and conversely tighten your business rules, whether you use technology or not, to really drive down the inefficiencies. And this is the bottom line. I mean, this is what we as marketers search for in the center of the target. The outside, optimizing to key performance indicators, that's sort of good. That's the entry level at this point. We've moved past, click-through rate's important, hits are important. None of those things are really that important. KPIs are important, but that's just the starting point. as you can plug in more data, then you're really getting to a return on ad spend model. And the holy grail, if you can really know what your fully burdened cost is, ROI is what you'll get to. And once you reach that, then search truly becomes self-funding, because it's no longer a marketing expense. You're quantifying what you're doing. So in the interest of time, and I'll try and wrap up, it's hard to touch on a lot of things that are going on in search right now. I'll leave you with a few additional considerations. Mobile is proliferating the world we live in. It's only going to increase. The number of smartphones will surpass feature phones this year. People search differently on mobile platforms or on mobile devices than they do from a desktop. So it's not, throw a search campaign up and I want to hit both. You want to try to separate your mobile campaigns from your desktop campaigns. Mobile has click-to-call features, there are other benefits. Also, mobile is changing in terms of how people are using it. So there's user-defined search, so how we're starting to narrow down our search. And then the future. Right now, search is really textual. It's what we're looking for. But the future, and all of our devices have cameras to record visual. So we're not that far off from having to optimize now for visual search. So keep that in mind. And then increasingly, we're in an environment where we have less control. 25% of search results for the world's top 20 brands link to user-generated comment. That's an incredibly tremendous amount of other people talking about our brands. So this is not going to go the other direction. This is going to compete, again, for our attention. So it's something we have to deal with. And now also, it's not just about what people are saying, it's about who's saying it. Social authority matters. In an interview with Bing as well as Google, it was determined that both of the engines are now weighting the quality of who's tweeting, for example. How many followers do they have? Who follows them? Bing even went so far as to say if they're known public authorities, we take that into consideration. So now, that gets weighted into the equation. But ultimately, you have the data in front of you. So, keep moving away from your faith-based decisions. What might have worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. Embrace evidence-based decisions, and then ultimately take what you've learned, break down the silos, and share that information. What works well in search, types of keywords, the phrases, the call to action, are likely to work well in other forms of media. So before you build that 30-second TV spot, look at the message. Look at how you're talking to your consumers. Test in search what's most likely to resonate and drive the response I'm looking for, and then build those campaigns, rather than retrofitting your search to match the offline campaigns.